Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Let's talk about bad energy. Now, we were just pulling out of a time of really bad energy after 2 years of this pandemic. Everybody is bummed out, depressed. I'm assuming people have gained a lot of weight because they were at home. People are finally adjusting back to this, and certain restrictions have been dropped. I'm assuming most people are not wearing masks or anything anymore, which I don't recommend. I mean, be careful. Take the same guidelines you did before. This is far from over, and it will be going on for many years to come, probably under different names, etc. So I'm not sure if people understand it, but an interesting fact I just learned is that during World War I, 80% of U.S. casualties was because of illness. Well, that's shocking. And, this is something that has been the case for hundreds, if not thousands of years. I mean, there is talk that there were complete battles during the Civil War that couldn't be fought because of illness, and particularly because of venereal disease. Well, if you're going to die and you're in the military, I guess you don't really care about those things. So it is something we have to deal with as a general rule. So illness has played a major part in empire building and destroying. The Romans lost a lot of their empire because of a serious illness. The Aztecs were ultimately beaten not by 150 Spaniards, but because of the fact that they brought in horrible diseases. So this is something that we have to recognize as a part of our life and something we have to protect ourselves against. So I would not act like COVID is over. We have to be careful. You still should be doing your normal precautions, washing your hands, using your ozonators. I wear masks consistently anyway, and I don't think there's any reason not to. I'm not sure why we need to be subjected to other people anyway. We shouldn't be shaking hands. What is that? Shaking hands goes back to showing you're unarmed. There's no reason to make physical contact with anybody. It's a horrible energetic problem as well. We have an actual book that says, don't shake hands. This is a classic text. I think it was written in the 40s or 30s. I'm not sure. Which shows you the kind of problems that happens when you shake hands with someone. You actually are transferring negative energy. And it talks about this, and it talks about how your bioenergy is affected. It's a very good book, and it's inexpensive, and it's an instant download on our PDF page. So do check that out. And I will have a link down below. As I said, it's cheap. And it's quite fascinating, and it gets into the energetic exchange between people. So this fanaticism to shake hands is just a courtesy which isn't really needed. People should stand back from each other and say, hello. Do we need to shake hands? So if we're checking if that person has a weapon, I think it's a little bit too late. So that's where it comes from, just like wearing neckties, which is nice to see is less in use, but it's still pretty standard business attire. That apparently goes back to the knights who used to have kind of scarves on. It's a totally useless piece of material that drapes in front of you. It's generally uncomfortable, and what's the point of it all? So the point of it all is we don't need it. So these are the type of things, and it's nice to see that these kind of formalities are being dropped, ties, etc. And of course, shaking hands are a thing that people, and that includes bumping elbows, bumping brains, bumping butts, whatever it is that you're doing. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to exchange physical energy, and it's bad. It's bad for you because people are all messed up. And you are either giving away your energy or you're taking in theirs, both things you don't want to do. Now, it's unfortunate because things were starting to look pretty good here in terms of energetically. We were turning around. We were taking care of a lot of the problems that COVID's, and things were balancing themselves to get back to semi-normal. Well, none of this seems to be the case anymore. This war has thrown everybody on the planet into negative energy yet again. It's really unfortunate because things were starting to build. I'm trying to build positive energy around a lot of my clients and myself, but we're in a real negative zone. And this is going to have international complications here. You know, wars have, to a large extent, particularly American wars, in the Middle East, have not really affected us directly that much. It's a military thing, and it's sad that it hasn't to a large degree, because there is a section of our population now who are professional military men, because it's a volunteer army. So, you know, that's your job. And that's about it. We're not looking at the world consequences, even though things do go up and down because of the fact oil prices, other things, commodity prices, because of what happens in the Middle East and wars in general. So this is a very large war because it takes in most of Europe. It's going to be affected one way or another. You've got millions of refugees that have to be taken care of. Well, where is that support going to come from? Europe doesn't have much housing to begin with. As a matter of fact, it has no housing to begin with. So where are all these people going to go? They're not going to be able to go back home because the war has destroyed their country. And instead of surrendering and making a deal so they can preserve their infrastructure, their electricity, their housing, their water, what they've done is they're going to push this to the end so everything is destroyed. And don't in any way think that isn't going to happen. So when we have this negative reality that is pumping this energy, and we were just getting over this, people were kind of just getting, well, we're falling back into it. You know, people have, over the last few years, have been feeling terrible. Now the energies are coming back. People were feeling a little better, but this is throwing everybody into a spin. This is going to take trillions of dollars from the world economies to pay for what's going on here. And also, there's a big plan going on here as well, which is the bigger picture area. Well, I don't think anything happens accidentally, and this puts a very bad economy, which is affecting the world and Europe in particular. Well, now everybody can spend money because they think there's a threat, and they can blow all their money, make the military-industrial complex richer and richer. Oil prices go up, housing goes, everything goes up. So this is a benefit for the same old people again, based upon the suffering of a lot of others. So this is what's happening in terms of energetically wise. This, of course, affects everybody's health. They're tired. They don't feel good. So it's kind of expectable. And it's really unfortunate that we can't get back into some semblance of normalness. But this is not something that's going to go away. There's going to be food shortages. There already is a problem because a huge amount of wheat comes from that region. There's going to be problems with the flow of oil and other things. That's going to start to go up. There's all sorts of problems, not to mention that Russia itself is going to go through some pretty strong economic problems with all of the companies pulling out. Now, I don't know how long this is going to happen. And, you know, Russia needs to work with the Ukraine and come to some conclusion so everybody can get back to normal. Russia has some needs for things. Well, that can be balanced with the need for Ukraine's, and that way everybody can remove sanctions, etc. But sanctions hurt everybody. And I'm not sure that draining all the money from Russia is a smart idea, making them more desperate to do things. So, but what does that mean? It means that everybody has got this negative energy that's going on out there that has to be countered. So anybody that has any of our tools should be pumping into these tools that they feel good, that they're alleviating depression. So you should be trying to bring up your core energies and using your amulets to do that, using your boxes to do that. So what you want to put into those boxes as a basic command is the fact that my core energy is building. It has dissipated all negative and depressive energies. These are the kind of thoughts you want to have to pour into any kind of energy cell that you have. So it doesn't matter what energy cell you have. These are manifesting cells. Obviously, the more neutral ones, the radionic energy cells or energy cells that are designed to uncross you, to open your chakras and to remove curses. I mean, these are the things that are so critical out there. So you want to uncross yourself, and that's why you're going to always need an uncrossing amulet. Everybody should have an uncrossing energy cell, because you always need to remove the negative energies that are building up on you, and it never seems to end. So you have to remove all the negativity that's building up on you from the current crisis, and this is just the current one. There'll be more to come. You want to open up your chakras, your third eye, etc. And you can do this by holding your radionic cell and stating that. I open up my chakras and they're flowing perfectly. You can do that with one of our radionic boxes. Work on these energies that you need to change your life and keep your energy up. The point is, when you get depressed and you get down, this makes you susceptible to lots of negative energies, physically, spiritually, etc. But this is the time when everybody needs to use their tools the most. So get active with stuff, and even I tend to collect too much stuff and not use them enough. So make sure you're using all your tools and you're working on these areas. So you want to uncross yourself as much as possible. You're uncrossing yourself from the world negativity, and you hold the particular cell. I like to hold my two thumbs right in front of me, so I create a actual circuit. If you have a cosmic code amulet, it goes to you directly. But by holding that cell in that particular way with your two thumbs, you're creating a circuit anyway, so the energy will go to you. One of the problems with a cell, a cosmic code cell, is that's sent directly to you and only you. It's difficult to send it to others. That's why everyone needs to have their own plain radionic energy cell. So you want to work on it. You want to uncross yourself from all of these negativities which are starting to build up again. Right at the time when I was removing this from myself and most of my clients, now we're getting hit again. The other thing, of course, is you always want to keep your chakras flowing and your third eye open. These are core energy flows, and this is something that, again, is nice to have a cell. And we have the Trinity Cell Kit that deals with all this, and this is a necessity. You're going to use this for the rest of your life. So anyone that is contemplating this is the time to do it. The other one, as I mentioned, is the curse removal or protection. Now, you don't have to have a curse on you to use this amulet. It's a protective amulet. You want to keep all negative energies around you so they don't build into this giant cross condition. So that's why the Trinity Kit is so important. And of course, you always want to, after you've done this and put the thought form energy into your actual energy cell, well, you want to make sure you're using the wrist laser and inject that energy into your subtle inner bodies. You want to use the rod laser and shoot it into your third eye and the crown chakra. It's all very important. These little energy boosts in times of great stress really can balance you out, keep you well and functioning at a higher level, and not fall into depression. So the bottom line, we've fallen into depression yet again, and the ramifications of this is going to be long-term. The war itself won't be long-term, but there's a big, giant mess here. Plain and simple. So this is going to take years and years to fix, and even if there's fast agreement, which I don't think there will be. But that's just that area. This energy flows to you around the world. Everybody's connected. You're going to have price increases. There's talks of food shortages. I mean, the world is a big, giant mess right now and not getting any better. So that's the problem with it. So this is going to affect everybody no matter where you are and what you're doing, because there will be shortages from this. There's going to be a lot of suffering. People are going to lose money. They're going to lose jobs. I mean, the problem with embargoes from American or European companies like IKEA is that they have a lot of product and a lot of workers there, and those workers won't have jobs. Hundreds, if not thousands. Product will be sitting in there that these companies lose because it's just sitting there. I guess they maybe can ship it out of the country sometime, but all of this is a problem, not to mention they have lost revenues themselves. So while you are trying to punish one country, you are punishing yourself as well. It's a complicated process, and what needs to be done and how it's done is very, very difficult. But this affects you, and it's going to affect everybody in the world to a lesser or greater degree. But, everybody's tied into this sick, evil heroin addiction known as oil. And you're talking about the second largest oil producer on the planet, which is the Russians. They have more oil than Saudi Arabia, etc. Now, as this gets tightened and more people cut off supplies to that, well, it means that you have to get it somewhere else, and that means the prices are going to raise and there's going to be problems. So there's a whole problem with not buying Russian oil, and this should have been phased out over the last 10 to 20 years, so these people had less money to be adventuresome. But that isn't done. The Europeans have been feeding the heroin addiction they have, not taking care of their energy needs for 30 years and really have never changed and never will. So it's all a big con of how to get all this money to select people, etc. So without getting too much into those political aspects, which I'm trying to move away from, everybody's going to be affected. There's going to be problems. We already had supply problems, COVID, where things aren't available. Certain shelf commodities are empty. Well, this is going to increase now. And there's going to be a worldwide wheat shortage because 30% of the world's wheat comes from that region. So this is all very important information that people need to know. And you're going to get hit by these energies. So what can you do? Dissipate it. Now, if you don't have a uncrossing or a curse removal or an actual chakra, third eye opening, well, you can use your regular radionic amulets. That's the beauty of the radionic amulets, is you can program anything into them. Now, this only becomes a thought form energy, but it's pretty effective. Now, remember, when you use a regular energy cell, you're using a huge amount of energetic informational fields, which are sigils that are placed in that design. Now, you can't see those hundreds of sigils that are in that energy cell, but that's what's in there. So you're getting a whole Google full of sigils that strengthen the thought form that you put into them. So that's the difference between a radionic amulet, which is highly amplified, and it's very important to use the right tools and have the right amplifications. It's very critical, a matter of fact. We don't have, our symbolic boxes are not just one little design. There's a whole energy in there that is very unique to the radionic technologies that we've worked on for the last 40 years. So it's not just a single picture. None of it is a single picture. Even the radionic machines are not a single picture. There's all sorts of radionic machines stacked on top of all of that and connected to amplifiers and transmitters, etc. So it's a very complex process that looks very simple when you look at it. If we made a collage showing a little pinhead dot of all that, it would look horrific. There's no reason to do that. These things are stacked on top of each other, put together and connected energetically. So it's quite different than just using a single design, which, by the way, doesn't work too well. These regular symbolic designs are usually wrong, and they're very weak. So having these and using them is critical. So no matter what tools you have from us, this is a great time to do it. And you don't wait till you're sick or you're having problems. Keep cleaning yourself out. Constantly protect yourself. Remove negative energy that's built up. You do that with the uncrossing cell specifically, but you can do that with a radionic amulet as well. You can also do that in general. Have a healing cell. Well, you can use that. You're healing your negative energies around you. You have a money cell? Well, you can do that. If you put enough positive money energy around you, that's going to break away and uncross you from the negative energies. So I hope everybody kind of gets the idea. So no matter what cell you have, if you pump that energy strong into you, it's going to uncross and protect you. Now, it's best to do it direct. That's why most people have 5, 6 cells, I would say easily. So they've had people keep buying them as they need them, and that's what you're supposed to do, unless you get the ultimate amulet that has everything in it, which is a great tool as well. But there is a little more power individually to do it, and it's a little harder to use our combination Armor All amulet because you have to kind of consciously and psychically pull the energy out of there that you need. But that's another subject matter. So using all of that, I'm a strong believer in building your core energies through the use of these tachyon magnetic rings we have. They really do help. I wear them every night. We're coming up with an advanced pranic chi core energy tool in the future here. These are rings you wear which will charge up your body. So I'm a big fan of that. It works well, especially since we dissipate our energies through depression, fatigue, sexuality. You got to build those core energies up again, and it's very important to do that. So these are all the aspects that whatever tool you have, work on this and work on it now. We've just started coming out of this. Now we're going to be hit by what's a virtual tidal wave of negative energy that's going to pound us all into the ground and affect everybody. So people were bummed out for years because of this constant COVID problem. People were pulling out of it now, but now we've got a tidal wave of death and negativity that's going to filter around the world, and none of us are going to escape this in the energetic or in many physical aspects, as I've mentioned, price risings, etc. This is all going to be a real problem that we need to deal with. Now, if you're using the technology, you can deal with it. This is the time to use it. This is not the time to back off. This is not the time to be careful. If you need something, this is the time to buy it and take care of yourself instead of waiting until it's so overwhelming that you can't deal with it. This is a problem I've dealt with all my professional life working with people and clearing them out, is that people come to me and they've been crossed for 10, 15 years. And then they expect within 3 to 4 months to clear out negativity that's been there for 10, 20 years. It's tough. It starts eating away at you, and you start getting all sorts of psychological and physical symptoms from all this cross condition and even possibly curses. So don't let things build up. Make sure you're doing that. So a simple thing to do to kind of clean the aura that's very cheap is get some pure salt. I prefer Himalayan salt or whatever. You put a tablespoon in a liter of water, warm water. After you take a shower, you then pour that over your body, generally your face, your neck, etc. You don't have to pour that salt water in your hair, and you pour it on your body. And this is a great way to cleanse the aura by using that salt energy, which tends to pull stuff out. It's even better if you put in a cup of this type of salt in a bath and sit there for about 15 minutes. A great way to cleanse yourself, relax, and get rid of a lot of toxins. Can't be much cheaper and easier than that. Of course, I do recommend using our bath salts. We have uncrossing, we have banishing. All these things are very important to cleanse your aura out. And it should be something you do at least once a month, putting 2 tablespoons in a bath and sitting there for 15 minutes. So these are all the things that, it's like everything else. You use toothpaste, you use hair cleaner, shampoo, etc. as a normal thing, and you buy this every month. Well, you should be doing the same thing with certain formulas that we offer. It's also a good idea to burn some incense. Now, our incense, you burn on little charcoal discs. You sprinkle it on there, and there is uncrossing. there is banishing, there's protection, there's health. All these things should be filling your environment because of the negativity that's been generated now for years. I just went ahead and cleared my entire home, burning some of these incenses. And, I neglected doing this. And I recently just took a cleansing bath, and boy, do I feel a lot better. These things really have strong impacts on you if you use them properly. So stay tuned with that. Make sure you use these things. These are as important as eating right and taking vitamins. You could kind of look at this as spiritual vitamins, spiritual organic food, spiritual, in general, positive energies that you need. And the spirit ultimately is what drives you. The physical body does what the spirit tells it to do. A weak spirit means a weak body and mind. It's just as simple as that. It's like subtle informational energetic fields, which create all energy. What also, or I should say, creates all physical items, physical stuff. So the energetic fields create physical matter. That's what the word I was looking for. And it's the same thing when you get in it. It's the spiritual energies that ultimately affect your physical reality, your mental thinking, your physical body, your well-being. We all know that. If you're depressed or sad, all of the chemicals within your body tend to go down that are helpful and healing. This has pretty much been told. Watch your diets and everything else. People tend, when they feel bad, be eating a bunch of junk, and I certainly understand that. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of junk, but make sure you're moving away from very destructive energy fields, which is created by killing animals in particular. There are so many fantastic alternative soy-based meat alternatives that taste delicious. There's no reason to eat meat any longer, and it's full of death energies. We have enough death energies around. Now we're going to be hit by tons of death energy because we have an all-out war and suffering going on, and the entire planet feels it. So you don't need that. Meat is no longer needed. It's a horrible farming process that you eat death energies, which ain't good for you, period. And there's no reason to. Also, the fears about soy, which I used to agree with 20 years ago, really is not the case. This is plant-based soy. And it's not like, which has a plant-based estrogen in it. It's not human estrogen, so your body doesn't take in much. This is one of the fallacies out there that I used to believe myself, and I told people for years, well, don't eat that if you're young, in your teens or early 20s. Well, it's not estrogen of a human type that if you took an estrogen pill would affect your body. It doesn't work like that with soy. There isn't that much in there. Soy is like everything else. You do have to have moderation. Some people have problems with soy, but what are you supposed to eat? Dirt? So the whole idea is that all of this is very, very important to your energetic well-being and for you to prosper to the higher levels in life that you want to get to. And I hate to say it, but it doesn't look like there's an end to much of these things for a long time. We've finally reached an apex where everybody is kind of on the edge. People are fighting to survive. There are all sorts of energy, food problems, toxicity problems going on, and it never ends. And things aren't getting better. Things are getting costly. So you're going to have to keep your energies up. You're going to have to try and keep your eye on the ball at what your goal in life is and learn to manipulate the system properly. Part of that is knowing what to do. You don't need to eat meat, people. What's the point of that? So there are many great foods, and the best foods are things that nature gives you. Figs, avocados, anything that grows on a tree. Fruits are basically good. Anything that grows on a tree, because when you take something I eat lots of nuts myself. So the whole idea is that these kind of things are very high in important nutrients. And you don't need a lot of it because they do have a lot of natural oils, which have a lot of calories, so you don't have to eat that much. Learn to eat a lot less fruits and nuts and anything that basically comes off of a plant that regrows itself. Fruit selectively is fine. You have to be careful there because of fructose and other things that are not so great for you. But anything like that. Now, of course, vegetables, which are basically grown for the purpose that you eat them. So you're not stealing them from the wilderness. They have a purpose. They are planted for that. Don't have that much negativity in it, but you are still killing something. Just the way it is. Everything we eat was alive once, except salt, which is a rock. So the whole idea is people need to understand that. So moving away from that and trying balancing the harsh death energies that are out there is very important. And you don't do that if you're eating meat. We need to really move away from that unless you have certain dietary problems, and you can work on that as well. Remember, oils are very good for you if you take them directly. Cooking something in oil is bad. Drinking oil out of a bottle is very good for you. Avocado, lind, olive oil. The minute these are messed with, that they are heated, that they are overly filtered, they then become bad for you. But oils are good for you. That doesn't mean fried food is good for you, because it ain't. And I can't even stand these foods anymore. Now that I've been on a very strict diet, I can't stand anything with lots of salt, even lots of sugar. All of it tastes horrible to me and makes my stomach upset. Fried foods, when you get off of fried foods and you go back, they taste rancid. Why? Because they are. So you can't cook any oil at much of a temperature because it turns into a toxic, cancerous poison. Only oil that doesn't is coconut oil, and that is extremely expensive if you expect to do any kind of serious frying. And there's a problem with coconut oil because it does have a very strong flavor, and this affects what you're cooking. So, taking this all into consideration is very important to balance your life and to watch your informational energetic fields and make sure you use your tools. These are not toys. These aren't things you bought for the fun of it, even though I think it's a ball to have all this stuff. And it's so great to have a tool that you can use for something in life. You need money, draw that particular cell out for that. You're having health problems, draw that cell out for that. You want to manifest anywhere in your life, you need protection, use your radionic cells. I mean, these are lifetime tools that are unbelievably cheap. Get with the program, everybody. Things are not going to get better, and make sure you are uncrossing yourself in a particular way. Now, crossed condition is when life's energies created by yourself and others build up on you like a shield, and they create blockages. These blockages then make everything in your life difficult to manifest. They then start affecting relationships, health, your money, over time, and people get blocked and have cross conditions for 20, 30 years, and then they wonder why life ain't too good anymore. So we do have to watch all that very carefully, and you have to make sure you're cleansing yourself and taking care of it. As I said, if you do these things like you should be, as you would brush your teeth, take a shower, cook a meal, if you use your tools in this fashion every day, and remember, you do things at high intensity for very short periods of time. Guess what? Often, that's the key to using subtle energy products. And it's easy to do it. If you know how to use these products, it's super easy and doesn't take much time. Our laser technology takes massive amounts of energy and pushes them into your subtle energy bodies like nothing else. I mean, people try and psychically bring the energies in. They try and draw it in through their aura. Complete nonsense. You shoot it into your body using photonic energies, and it's done virtually instantly into your body. And these, over time, if you do this consistently, have massive positive effects on you in all different aspects. So hopefully everybody's understood that. They get the point here and are getting out there using their tools. We're going to have to stay very vigilant energetically to make sure that this doesn't drag us down yet again after 2 years of COVID, stress, and harassment. Now we have to go into this massive amount of energy that is pouring around the world, toxifying us with negativity and depression. You can do something about it. If you have our tools, get active, do it, and keep your life balanced and moving ahead. That's really what radionic tech is all about. Balance these energies, bring them into your life, and change your life. Now, this happens all the time with my customers. I've been doing this for 30 years and have nothing but a stack of positive feedback. Everybody has changed their life. Everybody has gotten results, some high, some low, but that's, a lot depend on you. The energy is there. Can you make it work in your life? And it will work in your life through our processes to a certain extent, regardless of you doing nothing, by using our energetic books, our energetic scalar CDs, the cells, etc. All this is sending energy to you by just placing your photograph in and on these items. The powerful sigil energy is shooting into you. Now, and it changes your life. The important part is that it is a long-term situation. We'd all like to have a genie lamp, but life is not a genie lamp, people. Remember that. You cannot just manifest instantly, or there'd be no reason for you to be here. But you do have the capacity with certain tools and general energetic understandings to bring your life up to a successful level while everybody else around you is kind of falling. You can do that. Get busy, get active. If anybody has any questions, we are always here to help.